Well, this year, America celebrates its 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. As we reflect on our nation's past, we want to look back and highlight some important places and people in Middle Georgia. 41 NBC's Fiona King explores Georgia's American journey with a cornerstone of local and national history, Fort Hawkins.
While America is celebrating its 250th anniversary, Fort Hawkins itself came into existence 220 years ago, decades after the nation's founding.
This is one of the undiscovered treasures of Macon because it is where the history began. This is where things started. This is what attracted people here, caused them to settle, to build up, and to actually create the city of Macon.
Archaeologist and lab director at Fort Hawkins Foundation, Dr. James Gazaway, and the chair of the Fort Hawkins Foundation, Crystal Freeman, both say its origin tell a story of strategic purpose and frontier life.
This is where it all began. This was an outpost on the edge of the United States boundaries. Once you crossed the river, you were into Creek territory.
The 1.4 acres was turned into the fort. It enabled us to look over. In absence of the buildings, you could see pretty much everything around the entire place at the top of the blockhouse.
In 1806, construction of the fort began by the U.S. Army, and for 3 years it served as a military hospital. And shortly after that, the War of 1812.
3,000 troops came in here from all over, and they worked from this area.
That influx of troops would dramatically change what we now call Macon.
The city grew out of the necessity because people that were stationed here, 1.4 acres is not a lot of space, so they had to have somewhere to live. They had to create their own little town, so the area was named Newtown, and then Macon grew out of Newtown.
Dr. Gazaway says in those early years, the landscape around Fort Hawkins looked very different. The site sat atop a hill surrounded by forests and grasslands. The settlers cleared around 100 acres of woodland to build the fort. According to Freeman, Fort Hawkins was more than just a military outpost. It became a vibrant hub where people came to trade, seek business opportunities, and secure the necessary paperwork to enter or leave the United States.
It was the home of the fur trade there for a while. Because fur took off and took up in Europe, and this was where they traded, the natives and the locals traded in their furs for other goods that they would use.
Over the decades, Fort Hawkins has witnessed dramatic change, from plantation land to an artillery battery for the Confederate Army to a baseball field in the early 1900s and later as a site of the Fort Hawkins School and also a park. Efforts to preserve and rebuild Fort Hawkins began in the 1920s.
Manufacturing came in here. This was right on the fall line. From here north on most of the rivers are not navigable, but some of the rivers from here south to the ocean you can still use for waterways and transportation of goods.
It wasn't until 1937 to 1939 that the Works Progress Administration and the Daughters of the American Revolution completed and dedicated the blockhouse replica that stands here today.
Fort Hawkins continues to educate and inspire new generations. The site hosts a junior docent program training young people 10 to 18 as junior historians and archaeologists. Participants learn about flag history, the region's past, and the everyday life of those who came before.